A tired stickman wakes up. He grabs his phone, checks his bank balance. Still low. Again. But here's the strange part. He doesn't gamble. He doesn't buy luxury cars. He doesn't waste money on mansions. He works hard. Every single day. So why does he always feel broke? Why does his salary disappear before the month ends? And why do millions of people today feel exactly the same way? Because modern poverty doesn't always come from one big mistake. Sometimes it comes from hundreds of tiny ones. Tiny comforts, tiny subscriptions, tiny daily habits, the kind that feel completely harmless until years disappear, and so does your money. This is the story of the man who was never actually broke, but slowly became poor anyway. Every morning looked exactly the same. Wake up late, rush out the door, grab coffee, grab a croissant, order a ride instead of walking. Just $10. It didn't feel dangerous. In fact, it felt normal. Coffee shops were full. Delivery bikes everywhere. People carrying expensive drinks like accessories. Convenience had become a lifestyle. And slowly, he stopped noticing the cost. One coffee became 2. One subscription became 5. One food delivery became a daily routine. But because each payment was small, his brain ignored it. That's the dangerous part about modern spending. Big purchases scare people. Small purchases hypnotize them. Because your brain says, it's only a few dollars, again and again and again, until your entire life becomes automated spending. Every month followed the same cycle. Salary arrives, relief, for a few hours. Then suddenly, money starts disappearing. Streaming subscriptions, music subscription, cloud storage, gym membership, premium apps, food delivery, weekend shopping, coffee, taxi rides, late-night snacks, microtransactions. And the worst part? None of these felt serious, because modern companies learned people resist paying $500 once, but they happily pay $10 forever. So the system changed. Everything became monthly. Monthly entertainment, monthly convenience, monthly comfort, tiny leaks, everywhere. And like water dripping from a cracked pipe, he barely noticed it. Until one day, he opened his banking app and realized he had almost nothing left. Invisible bills, quietly feeding on unconscious habits. Every notification, every discount, every limited time offer was designed to trigger emotion, not logic. Because emotional spending feels good immediately, but logical spending builds freedom slowly. And most people choose immediate comfort without realizing the long-term cost. Now let's talk about the coffee. The harmless morning coffee, the reward after work, the little treat. $12 per day. Doesn't sound dangerous, but here's what happens when small habits repeat for years. $12 a day becomes $4,380 per year, and over 10 years, more than $43,000 for coffee. Now add food delivery, streaming services, impulse shopping, convenience spending. Suddenly, you're looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars disappearing slowly across your lifetime. Not because you're irresponsible, but because modern life normalizes consumption. People are taught to reward themselves constantly. Feeling tired? Buy coffee. Feeling bored? Buy entertainment. Feeling sad? Buy something online. Consumption became emotional therapy. And companies know it. That's why apps are colorful, fast, easy, one-click purchases, no friction. Because the less time you think, the more likely you are to spend. Now here's where the story changes. Because another man lived in the same city, worked the same job, made almost the same salary. But his life slowly became different. Every morning, he made coffee at home. Simple, cheap, not exciting. Instead of ordering food every night, he cooked basic meals. Instead of buying entertainment constantly, he learned skills. Instead of spending to look rich, he invested quietly. Nobody noticed him. Nobody admired him. His life looked boring. But year after year, his money started growing, while the first man stayed trapped. That's the strange truth about wealth. It rarely looks exciting in the beginning. Silence, patience, repetition. While financial destruction usually looks fun at first, 5 years passed. The first man still worked hard, still felt stressed, still waited desperately for payday, still said, "I don't know where my money goes." But now the problem was bigger, because his lifestyle had expanded. Better phone, more subscriptions, more delivery, more convenience, higher spending. This is called lifestyle inflation. The more people earn, the more they normalize expensive habits, and eventually, what once felt luxurious starts feeling necessary. Meanwhile, the second man had changed completely. His investments grew, his stress dropped, he gained freedom, not because he earned millions, but because he controlled small habits. That's the hidden difference between people who stay broke and people who slowly build wealth. One consumes comfort, the other buys freedom. Think about it. Every app competes for attention. Every company wants recurring payments. Every advertisement creates dissatisfaction. You're constantly told, you deserve more, upgrade, buy now, reward yourself, treat yourself, because a financially disciplined person is harder to profit from. The system loves emotional consumers, people who buy to escape boredom, buy to escape stress, buy to feel successful, buy to impress others, and over time, many people become trapped in invisible financial prisons. Not because they are lazy, not because they are stupid, but because nobody taught them how dangerous unconscious habits can become. One night, something changed. He looked around his apartment. Delivery boxes, unused gadgets, subscription emails, empty coffee cups. And despite years of working, he still felt financially fragile. One emergency could destroy everything. That realization terrified him, because for the first time, he understood. He wasn't poor because of one catastrophic decision. He became poor slowly, comfortably, quietly, one tiny habit at a time. And that's what makes modern financial traps so dangerous. They don't ruin your life instantly. They slowly normalize dependency, until survival itself becomes stressful. The next morning, he did something small. He made coffee at home. Not because coffee was evil, but because he wanted control back. Then he canceled unused subscriptions, started tracking spending, cooked more meals, walked more often, reduced impulse purchases. At first, it felt uncomfortable, because modern convenience is addictive. People become emotionally dependent on easy dopamine. But slowly, his stress decreased, his savings grew, and for the first time in years, he stopped fearing payday. Because wealth isn't always about making more money. Sometimes, it's about stopping unnecessary leaks. Most people think poverty arrives dramatically, but often, it arrives quietly, through habits that feel normal, through convenience, through emotional spending, through subscriptions nobody remembers buying. And while each purchase feels tiny, the years are not tiny. The future is not tiny. Your freedom is not tiny. Because every dollar you spend automatically is a dollar no longer building your future. So the question is not, can you afford this today? The real question is, what is this habit costing your future self? And once you start asking that question, everything changes. People rarely become poor overnight. They become poor slowly, through habits that never look dangerous.